Warning! The following gameplay video was created by a scrub. If scrub gameplay disturbs you, stop the video now. Hello and welcome back. Well, we have some tomb exploring to do. And something that I haven't actually mentioned, there's actually a couple of things, but one thing is, after Blighttown, this is surprisingly not a bad place to explore. I mean, yes, it's catacombs, it's all really dark and musty and everything, but there are a lot of interesting things around here, like the wall design and how it goes from these sort of almost decorative walls to this more like cavern-like, roughly carved passageway. And then, of course, there's all the other little objects sitting around. So that's really nice. As nice as one can describe a place like this, anyway. Well, something else I kind of wanted to mention at some point, but I kept forgetting until now, is something that I don't know anything about is the nature of these skeletons. What an undead is a little bit up in the air. Like, through pretty much everywhere except the catacombs, it's people who don't die, and if something sufficiently bad happens to them, they lose their sanity. But they don't look like the things that I've been encountering around here. I'm kind of wondering if these skeletons are what happens if you're just a hollow for such a ridiculously long time that only the bones are left. And also, since chasing after these spellcaster, well, this particular spellcaster, did not work at all, I figure maybe fighting him at range would work. And yes, taking advantage of the age-old matchup of mage versus archer, which often does not go in the mage's favor. The last thing you want to deal with as a mage is a physical attack at long range. Well, in some games there are spells to deal with that sort of thing, but not always. And that guy definitely did not have anything to solve the problem. Alright, so we got another staple of this sort of thing, the skeleton archer. However, its vantage point is not all that impressive. In fact, there's a very small amount of space where he can actually shoot anything. I mean, I'll give points for attacking from a place where I can't easily hit back, but the easier it is for someone to walk away from you, the worse your vantage point is. Well, of course I switched to the bandit knife because I figured after dealing with that spellcaster guy, there probably weren't any more in very close proximity. But honestly, well, I should stop using that word. It doesn't really mean anything when I'm talking like that. Anyway, I felt like I shouldn't push it too hard. Like, after dealing with a couple of skeletons, I'll just go ahead and switch back. Because you never know when another one might show up, and having a skeleton get right back up is not always fun. I'm also kind of thinking about how the game designed the solution to the skeletons around here, and I kind of like it. Which is, if you're a faith build, going through here is probably pretty easy because you'll get some decent power out of making a divine weapon just by playing it the way you naturally would. But if you're not, then you have to deal with using a kind of a subpar weapon to give you an advantage in other ways. Wow, I did not know about that attack. The kind of corkscrew thing that I think I saw in, like, Soul Edge and Virtua Fighter. Well, in Virtua Fighter it was sort of more of a spinning javelin kick, if you can imagine that. Like, you sort of leap at the enemy feet first and then just land on the ground. Anyway, what matters is I did not see the skeletons above ground doing anything like that, so the catacomb skeletons pretty definitively count as a different enemy, and this looks like it could be a useful spear, I guess, if I was that kind of build, which I'm definitely not. But I will give the game credit. I have not played a whole lot of games of this type which have emphasis and variety with the pole arms. I like that a lot, and if I knew that was in the game, I might actually have chosen a build that goes with it, because I think pole arms are really cool. They should really give up on that rolling attack. It's essentially a free backstab, and it's not like I can't see it coming most of the time. I also find it kind of interesting that when you're above ground, you never fight the skeletons one at a time, but it happens often enough when you're down here. Like right there, for example. Well, it technically wasn't one at a time, but it worked out that way. Also, considering where I just saw that spellcaster, I don't actually know what to call him. I guess I should just call him Pyromancer since he uses fire, but anyway. Those Pyromancers, that guy was just sort of standing out there, so probably close enough to bring back the skeletons close by, so my caution seems to have paid off a little bit. But yeah, this also feels less like a maze than I thought it would be. Like, the moment I saw the word catacombs, I thought there'd be dozens of branching passages, and I might even need to make a map by hand just to figure out how to move around. That might still be further in, I don't know. But so far, it hasn't been that troublesome. And I want to give credit to the design, and I think a large part of that is they did a good job of not making all of the passages look alike. That seems like a really easy mistake to make, especially if you're not very experienced in level design. Oh, you can see me and just didn't decide to bother me until then. Well, I was gonna aim at the exploding skull things, but hey. Well, if you want to get into a battle, I'm actually in trouble, but okay. I really should aim for center of mass, though, especially because he kind of ducks a bit when he throws a fireball, and also, I don't move side to side fast enough, and I almost died there. Wow. This isn't a first-person shooter where you can just strafe without a problem while aiming. Like, even as you saw right there, when I start moving well ahead of time, it is not enough. So I think I'm getting some damage drop-off due to distance. I'd probably do better if I had something other than a short bow, but hey, I mean, it worked out. And I think those enemies are specifically designed so that people can do that even if they're not especially built for use of a bow, because my bow was not heavily upgraded and I wasn't using the best arrows, and my dex isn't even super high, but it worked fine. Oh, well, now I've discovered something new, haven't I? Ooh, lovely. Doesn't seem to have done much damage, though, which is, well, it's a good thing, because I'm not going to pay attention to those in later parts of the catacombs. You are in for a treat. But as I was saying, so those pyromancers seem to have no armor whatsoever, or close enough as makes no difference, because even though my archery is super weak, it would still dealt plenty of damage. I just wish I had stocked up on more arrows. I felt at the time that over 100 might have been overdoing it, but apparently you can never have enough. Well, that was unfortunate. And of course they're not coming back, because I just dealt with the guy who can do that. It feels really nice to be able to switch back to the bandit knife for a little while. Even though it's impractical for a lot of things, I just feel like it's really satisfying to land a critical hit with that thing. And I apologize for the Discord pings. I should have known better. So, we got another one-way switch, as I like to call it. Because once it's pushed, you're stuck with the results. However, the results seem to be pretty good. I am glad I figured out the whole bow approach, because I would not want to fight all three of those enemies at once. In fact, I'm kind of surprised the skeletons didn't rush me as soon as I started firing. So actually, I didn't think about it at the time, but I kind of discovered a little bit more about backstabbing, which is once you use a normal attack, your follow-up attacks cannot backstab, even if your angle and distance are correct. But from what just happened there, it looked like if you kind of pause a little bit, it doesn't take long for you to reactivate the ability to do it, and I need to remember that. Never mind, just sort of stepping all over someone's grave. That's good mojo. So if I was playing through this a second time... Oh, well, that was smart of me, wasn't it? I was just looking at the shiny. Well, pretty much the only thing I'd need to change for the catacombs is to enchant a bandit knife instead of... to, divine upgrade bandit knife instead of a scimitar, as far as I can tell. Maybe there's some later part where they're those really big skeletons, and I regret it, but so far it hasn't happened. Also, I was thinking about putting another point into dexterity somehow to increase the damage enough that I can backstab a skeleton to death, but it actually seems a little bit iffy. Also, I should have just tried parrying that jump attack. I thought I got the timing down. But then again, the stairs make it a little... Well, anytime the ground is uneven, I'm not so sure about it. Well... So, looking at it, there's actually a kind of a decent chunk of life left after a scimitar backstab, so I'm not even sure that it would be enough to cause a backstab kill on those guys. And what do we have here? Now, one thing that... I mean, I'm completely willing to forgive this game for it, but one thing I appreciate about Path of Exile Labyrinths is that it's also a really ancient testing ground full of traps and stuff. And what I like is that in addition to all of the perfectly lethal traps that are in good working order, there's also a lot of traps and mechanical parts that are broken down because they are, after all, ridiculously old. And that's a little touch that I like a lot. And, well, that was not a good place for me to walk into, was it? Actually, thinking about it again, I'm kind of surprised those spikes aren't poisoned. Seems like the sort of thing this game might do. Well, I probably should have explored a little bit more. Actually, I'm not done yet. The reason that I'm a little iffy on what to do at this point is I am completely out of Estus flasks. Which is, well, it's a step up for how things went last time. But hey, and I could have easily died here if the skeletons got really aggressive at the wrong time. Fortunately, one of them decided to try and be clever. And it's a good thing it stopped at the last second because I completely messed up my jump attack. Well, the treasure around here has been... Well, I don't want to say that it's sparse exactly, because there is a weapon that I've come across that I haven't seen anywhere else, so I guess maybe it's really good treasure if you want to use spears or polearms or whatever that thing is. Well, I guess spears are polearms, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Excuse me. But how far do you push forward when you're on 0 Estus flasks? The main thing I'm concerned about with these switches is that pushing one will kind of close other passages, and I'll need to learn something intricate. I'm really bad at that sort of thing. I also like that the ladder you find there is exactly the sort of thing that would pass the test of time. It's not like those wood and rope ladders you see in Blighttown. Well, I'm actually not sure how much rope is involved in putting those ladders together. But yeah, that's the sort of parry that I'm talking about. I mean, that's pretty much the only attack from the skeletons that I know how to parry, but they do it in a reasonably predictable way, so it's worth learning, I think. Oh, you just destroyed a pot. How old was that pot? Probably pretty old. It's a priceless historical artifact. So it says treasure, does it? And, yeah. I need to go off camera and practice a whole bunch of kicks and... That doesn't look like treasure at all. Well, it might be possible to get some sort of treasure from there, but I am in no shape to try something like that. And also, I didn't even realize it at the time, but I have actually picked up 2 humanities somehow. Anyway, I thought I'd just take another quick look just to see if there's anything obvious that I missed, but nope. Whoa, that's not good. That is definitely not good. Ah, I saw it coming that time. Take that. Also, upon seeing him get up from there, that all-in spinning lunge attack has a weakness of the skeleton taking a really long time to get back up afterwards, so I appreciate that. Also, I said Soul Edge back there, didn't I? That game is ancient by fighting game standards. I probably should have said Soul Calibur. But I'm getting off topic. Of course, the further I travel along the catacomb passages, the more nervous I get, because there's no telling when I might encounter something horrible and lose everything I've picked up so far. But I guess that's kind of the tension of the game overall. And when I keep going in a straight line in one direction, I want to check around, and actually that's... When I saw that hole in the wall, the moment I turned around, I thought, oh god, it's going to look like I knew about that beforehand. I promise I had no idea. I realize you only have my word for it. So I did not quite understand what happened there, but my best guess is that the skeleton counted as being in the air for a very short time as it got off the ladder, and it counted as landing on me. Oh, well, that's a fun way to meet another skeleton, but I guess that wasn't too bad. Anyway, I guess there's always that feeling of, what if I suddenly die, and like that. That was a nice little scare. It didn't look it, because I don't know, because it wasn't live, but wow. I was seriously spooked by that trap, or just collapsing floor, whatever it was. So, well, that was just about enough for me. But anyway, as I said, there's always that worry about dying and losing everything, but it's definitely more so when you're on Zero Estus. Yeah, I'm done. I am so done. Remember what happened last time I encountered one of those guys? Didn't beat it on my first try, that's for sure. So I guess that's it for now. Off camera, I'm gonna head back to the bonfire and use my 2 humanity to kindle it up, because this is gonna be a long haul, looks like. I will see you later.